Hey, listen. Something has already shifted inside you, even if nothing around you looks different yet. There is a quiet feeling moving through the background of your life, like the world itself is holding its breath for a moment that has not fully arrived. You might notice it in small ways that are easy to dismiss but hard to ignore. Your thoughts feel slightly clearer than they did a week ago. There is a subtle restlessness stirring beneath your surface that was not there before. It is not loud and it is not dramatic, but it is steady, and it is real, like something deep within the fabric of your existence is slowly turning in the right direction after a long and heavy pause. Pay attention to that feeling because it is trying to tell you something important. Right now, at this very moment, the sky is moving through one of its most significant transitions of the entire year, and most people have no idea what is actually happening above them. The sun is reaching the final edge of Pisces, which is the last sign of the zodiac, and this position represents something far more powerful than most realize. This is the place of endings and release, and everything that has been building beneath the surface of your life for longer than you might even remember. For weeks and perhaps even months, there has been this deep emotional undercurrent pulling at you from directions you could not quite name, asking you to reflect and to let go, and to process things you may not have fully understood before now, and it has not been easy, has it? There have been moments when everything felt confusing and heavy, like you were trying to move through something thick and unclear. You may have felt like you were walking without a map through territory that shifted every time you thought you understood where you were going. Decisions that should have been simple became complicated. Thoughts that should have been clear became tangled. And through it all, there was this sense that something was happening beneath the surface that you could not quite see or touch or explain to anyone else. But here is what you need to understand right now. That phase was never meant to last forever. It was always leading somewhere, and that somewhere is finally beginning to reveal itself. As the sun prepares to cross the invisible threshold into Aries, something powerful and undeniable begins to unfold in the energy around you. And this is not just another ordinary shift from one zodiac sign to another that happens every month. This is something far more significant. This is the moment when the entire zodiac wheel resets itself completely. Think of it as the universe pressing a cosmic reset button that closes one chapter of existence entirely and opens another that carries a completely different energy and direction than anything that came before. The old cycle is ending. The new cycle is already beginning to form around you, even as you read these words. You may not be able to see it yet with your physical eyes, but something inside you can already feel it stirring. There is a reason you are drawn to this message right now. There is a reason these words are finding you at this particular moment in your journey. And at the same time, something equally important is happening with Mercury that most people are completely unaware of. After a period of moving in reverse and creating delays and miscommunication and mental fog that seem to touch everything in your life, Mercury is now slowing down and preparing to move forward again. This shift does not just affect communication in the external world around you. It changes something internally as well. Thoughts that felt scattered and chaotic begin to organize themselves into patterns that finally make sense. Decisions that once felt impossibly complicated start to feel simpler and more obvious. The noise that has been filling your mind starts to quiet down enough for you to hear your own inner voice again. And when these two movements happen so close together in time, the effect becomes far more powerful than either one alone. It creates a kind of opening in the fabric of reality itself, a moment where the past loosens its grip on you, and the future starts to come into focus in ways it could not before. The pressure that has been quietly building over the past few weeks begins to release from your body and your mind and your spirit. Not all at once, because that would be overwhelming, but enough for you to notice the difference. It is like stepping out of a dense fog that you had almost become used to, and suddenly realizing that the path ahead was always there waiting for you, just hidden from your view. This is where everything begins to change for you. Because as the sun moves fully into Aries, the energy shifts dramatically from reflection to action. Aries is not about waiting patiently or overthinking every possibility until you feel paralyzed. Aries is about movement and initiation, and the raw courage to step forward into the unknown, even without having every answer figured out in advance. After everything that Pisces asked you to feel and process and release, Aries now asks you to begin again with fresh energy and renewed determination. And that is what makes this particular moment so deeply significant for your life. It is not just the ending of something old, it is the beginning of something that carries a completely different vibration. Something that feels more direct and more alive and more certain than what you have been experiencing. You're not meant to stay anchored in the past anymore. You're being pulled forward by invisible forces that are gentle, but absolutely clear in their direction. A new cycle is already starting to take shape around you, whether you feel ready for it or not. Even if you do not fully understand what is happening, yet something in your life is resetting at the deepest level. As this shift deepens over the coming hours and days, you will begin to notice that the stillness you are sitting in is slowly being replaced by a quiet sense of movement. It does not arrive all at once like a sudden storm. Instead, it builds gradually, like the first light appearing on the horizon before sunrise when the world is still dark but you know something is coming. The sun has now crossed fully into Aries, and with it comes a completely different rhythm to existence. Where Pisces asks you to pause and feel everything deeply, Aries asks you to move and to act and to trust the instinct that rises within you without overthinking it into paralysis. This is the true beginning of the astrological year. Not just symbolically, but energetically in a way you can actually feel in your body. It carries the sensation of a clean slate being handed to you. A point in time where the past no longer needs to define what comes next unless you choose to let it. At the same time, Mercury begins to move forward again, and this is where the shift becomes even more noticeable in your daily experience. During its retrograde phase, things may have felt uncertain or delayed in ways that were frustrating and confusing. It was like you were trying to move through a door that would not fully open no matter how hard you pushed. Conversations may have gone in circles without reaching any real conclusion. Plans may have changed unexpectedly just when you thought everything was settled. Your own thoughts may have felt unclear and contradictory, making it hard to trust your own judgment. But now that energy starts to correct itself in real time. It is subtle at first, like a gentle breeze shifting direction. But you begin to feel a sense of direction returning to your life that was missing before. Words come easier when you need them. Decisions feel less heavy and weighted with consequence. The confusion that once slowed you down and made everything feel impossible starts to dissolve like morning mist in sunlight. This combination of energies is what makes this moment so powerful and rare. It is not just that something new is beginning in your life, it is that the blocks and obstacles that were holding you back are starting to clear at the exact same time. The universe is not only opening a new path in front of you, it is also removing the resistance that made it so hard to walk forward before. This creates a momentum that feels natural rather than forced. Movement that flows from who you truly are rather than who you have been trying to be. You might feel a quiet but persistent push within you now. An urge to start something you have been thinking about, to take a step you have been hesitating on for longer than you want to admit. It does not come with pressure or anxiety, but with a sense of readiness that feels new and unfamiliar, as if the timing is finally aligning in a way it never quite did before, no matter how hard you tried to make things work. And that is because it truly is aligning. This is not your imagination. The mental fog is lifting at the precise moment when the energy to act is rising within you. Clarity and action are beginning to move together instead of working against each other as they have been for so long. This creates a window of opportunity that will not stay open forever. There is also a release happening beneath the surface of your conscious awareness. The emotional weight that has been building and accumulating over the past weeks does not disappear instantly, because that is not how healing works. But it begins to loosen its grip on you in ways you can feel. You may notice yourself feeling lighter without fully understanding why. Situations that once felt intensely charged with emotion may no longer carry the same weight when you think about them. It is not that they did not matter, or that you are suppressing anything. It is that you are no longer meant to stay trapped in that heavy space. This is how the reset actually begins to work in your real life, not as a sudden dramatic transformation that changes everything overnight, but as a steady shift in how things feel and think and move around you. The past is no longer pulling you backward with the same relentless force. The future is no longer as unclear and threatening as it once seemed, and in the space between those two territories you find yourself standing at the entrance of something new, even if you are still figuring out exactly what that new path looks like. And just as this forward motion begins to take hold in your life, another alignment starts forming in the background that you need to know about. Something that adds strength and expansion to everything that is already unfolding around you. Mars, the planet of action and drive and raw willpower, begins to align with Jupiter, the planet of growth and opportunity and good fortune. This connection does not reach its full power immediately, but its influence is already building in the background of your life, quietly amplifying the energy that is available to you right now. This is where things begin to feel different in a much deeper way than before. Because Mars is not just about movement and activity. It is about courage and the willingness to take bold action even when the outcome is uncertain and there are no guarantees. Mars gives you the fire to move forward when everything inside you wants to stay safe and protected. And Jupiter expands whatever it touches, bringing possibility and growth and a sense that something bigger is opening up for you. When these two powerful energies start working together in alignment, they create a combination that is hard to ignore. It is not just about doing something, it is about doing something that has genuine potential to lead somewhere meaningful and significant. You may start to feel this influence as a subtle increase in confidence that was not there before. Not loud or arrogant or overwhelming, but steady and grounded in something real. Ideas that once felt too big or too far away may now start to feel more possible and within reach. Actions that once felt too risky or too frightening may now feel necessary and important. It is as if something deep inside you is beginning to trust the direction things are moving in, even without having all the details figured out in advance. And this is where the deeper story of what is happening begins to reveal itself more clearly. Because this moment is not isolated or random. It is the result of everything that has been building and accumulating over the past weeks and months. All the reflection and uncertainty and emotional processing that felt so overwhelming at times. It was all leading here to this exact point where the energy finally shifts from internal to external. From feeling to doing. From waiting endlessly to actually beginning. At the same time, opportunities may begin to appear in your life in small but noticeable ways that you should not dismiss as coincidence. A conversation that unexpectedly opens a new possibility you had not considered. An idea that suddenly feels worth pursuing with real energy and commitment. A situation that begins to move forward after feeling completely stuck for so long. These are not random accidents of timing. They are part of the alignment that is forming around you right now. The natural result of energy beginning to flow freely again after such a long period of being blocked and stagnant. But what makes this even more important is how deeply personal it can feel for certain people. For some, this shift is gentle and gradual, like a slow change in direction that happens so smoothly you barely notice it. But for others, especially those who are more sensitive to these cosmic movements, it can feel like an unmistakable turning point. Like something in your life is clearly and obviously moving from one phase into another that is completely different. And even if you cannot see the full picture yet, you're already inside that transition right now as you read these words. This is not merely a moment of change happening to you from outside. It is a moment of alignment where multiple powerful energies begin to support movement and clarity and growth all at the same time. And as this alignment builds toward its peak over the coming days, it starts to shape the path ahead of you in ways that are still unfolding, but already beginning to take recognizable form. As this energy continues to build something deeper, settles into place within you, it is no longer just a vague feeling of movement or clarity returning. It starts to feel like actual direction. Not forced or rushed, but natural, as if certain pieces of your existence are quietly aligning without you having to control every detail. This is where the reset becomes more real and tangible in your everyday experience. The shift from Pisces into Aries is now fully active, and the difference between these two energies becomes more noticeable with each passing hour. Pisces was about endings and dissolution, and letting go of what no longer belongs. Aries does not wait for perfect understanding. It steps forward with pure instinct and inner knowing that does not require constant reassurance. This transition feels like stepping out of deep water onto solid ground, where your footing becomes secure and your next step becomes easier to take. Mercury moving direct continues to sharpen your mental awareness. Things that felt uncertain now begin to make sense. You may find yourself revisiting recent situations and suddenly seeing them with new eyes. Understanding why delays happened. Understanding why things did not move when you wanted them to. This clarity allows you to move forward without carrying confusion into the new cycle. There is also a powerful emotional shift happening beneath your awareness. The intensity of the past weeks begins to soften and release. Not because those experiences were not real, but because their purpose has been fulfilled. You're no longer being asked to stay in that heavy reflective space. Instead, you're being guided towards something more active and engaged with the present moment. This can feel like quiet relief washing over you. Like something you did not realize you were carrying has finally been set down. As this internal shift happens, you may notice your focus naturally orienting toward the future. Not in an overwhelming way, but in steady thoughts about what comes next, what you want to start, what you feel ready to change, what you're prepared to move toward. These thoughts are part of the new cycle taking shape within you and guiding you toward aligned actions. This is where trust becomes essential. Yeah, not blind faith, but calm, grounded confidence in the timing of things. You do not need every answer right now. You only need to recognize that the energy surrounding you is supporting forward movement in ways it could not before. As the Mars and Jupiter alignment reaches its peak, the energy becomes even more active and supportive of real growth. The steps you take now carry more weight because they are aligned with a larger movement already in motion. It becomes easier to recognize which directions are opening and which are naturally fading away. There is also a clearer sense of timing emerging. Things begin to happen when they are meant to, rather than when you try to force them. This creates a different quality of flow where effort and outcome feel more connected. Your confidence continues to grow. Yeah, not in a loud way, but in a steady, grounded sense of knowing. The kind that comes from clarity and understanding what you want and feeling ready to take steps toward it. For Aries, this marks a completely new personal cycle. The start of something that resets your sense of identity and direction. The energy supports boldness and fresh starts and decisions that define the path ahead. For Cancer, this shift activates direction and purpose and long-term goals. The focus moves outward. You may notice changes in how you approach ambitions and how opportunities appear around you. For Pisces, this connects deeply to what has just ended. After one of the most reflective phases, there is now a sense of stepping into something more grounded. The focus shifts towards stability and what you want to build moving forward. But even beyond these signs, this influence touches everyone. It shows up through subtle shifts in focus and small decisions and moments where you feel ready to move forward in ways you were not before. This is how the new cycle integrates into everyday life, not as something separate from you, but as something you are already participating in. The previous phase, with all its reflection and confusion, served its purpose. It brought awareness and understanding and release. Now that space has been created for something new to enter, the energy has shifted from inward to outward, from processing to action, from ending to beginning. Everything is connected. The delays and clarity and release and opportunities were all part of the same unfolding story, leading to this point where everything begins again with deeper awareness. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience and understanding and everything you have moved through. That is what makes this reset so powerful. Because now, as the new astrological year begins, you're not the same as before. The path ahead is open. The energy is moving in your favor, and the moment to begin is no longer somewhere in the distant future. It is already here. It is already now. It is already yours to claim if you choose to reach for it.